The movie starts with an intimate scene between a man and a woman in a boiler room. The action did not last long because the man suddenly stopped doing the action. Feeling annoyed by her partner's behavior, the woman hurried away from the place. It turned out that the two of them did not know each other. Igor was a plumber who was working on a project in an office. After work, Igor invited his wife Flora to go to the movies. Actually, Igor began to feel bored without a child in his life. But he still tried to look happy in front of Flora, the wife he had married for a long time. Flora has a good personality and is also hardworking to help her husband. She is willing to become a housemaid and open a laundry business. The salary she earns is also often borrowed by Igor for their daily needs. Next, we are introduced to a woman named Pina. She is an office girl in an office where the drains are being repaired by Igor. Apart from working, Pina's daily life is also occupied with taking care of her only child, Lorenzo. Pina got custody of the child after she divorced her ex-husband. During lunch, Igor and Pina accidentally met again in the office cafeteria. Pina's gesture of deliberately showing off her skirt was clearly understood by Igor. On one occasion, Pina asked her son if he could have a boyfriend. Lorenzo, who began to understand the existence of a special relationship between men and women, did not agree with his mother's wishes. Meanwhile, Flora's invitation to make out was rejected by Igor because he was tired. It's a different story if the one who invites is the young widow Pina. Regardless of the place, Igor is always eager to serve the woman. In the end, Igor and Pina decide to check in at the hotel so that they can play more freely. But only a few moments after she set foot outside the house, Pina was called by Lorenzo, who seemed to be forcing her to go home immediately. The next day, Pina invites Igor to check in again. But Igor never comes because he has a date with Flora. In the boiler room of her office, Pina realized that Igor's work had been completed and she felt sad. Maybe she wouldn't be able to see Igor again. Next, Igor seemed to have a plan to visit a photocopier sales shop. Flora was initially enthusiastic about the arrival of a large cardboard box, which she thought was a washing machine to support her work. But after finding out that Igor bought a photocopier using all of their savings, Flora was furious with Igor. She couldn't understand why her husband bought a photocopier that wasn't suitable for their business. Lorenzo's toys scattered on the floor of his room prompted Pina to throw them in the trash. Of course, Lorenzo immediately got sad when he found out that his favorite toys had disappeared. While handing Lorenzo a new toy car, Pina promised to take her son to the park this weekend. By reading the manual, Igor managed to assemble the photocopier he had just bought. Although annoyed, in the end Flora wanted to learn to use the machine. Not long after, she starts a photocopying business in her small apartment. Igor's infidelity has been sniffed out by Flora, who bluntly asks if her husband is playing with another woman. Igor doesn't admit it, as if he has nothing wrong. Flora finally decided to leave home for a few days. Pina had tried to meet Igor. But because her phone call was immediately rejected by Igor, Pina knew that her presence was no longer expected. When Flora returned to the apartment, she was told by Igor that many customers were looking for his photocopying services. To improve their relationship, Igor invited his wife to have a casual chat at a bar. Because he had known Flora for a long time, surely Igor knew how to soften the heart of his life companion. But their relationship is strained again when Igor refuses Flora to get into bed. Pina vented her bad mood by scolding Lorenzo, who was cranky and too lazy to eat. From her son's mouth came a request that he wanted to live with his father. Although sad, Pina finally granted Lorenzo's wish. The next morning, wearing a lion costume made by Pina, Lorenzo was picked up by his father. With the help of a neighbor that day, Flora planned to move out of the apartment without Igor's knowledge. Because she felt she had the right to the photocopier that her husband had bought, Flora was desperate to transport the machine in the moving car. Unfortunately, Flora lost her life when she was hit by the machine while descending the stairs. It turns out that the event was what Igor had been waiting for so that he could be with Pina. With the elimination of one by one the people who were beside them, Igor and Pina could be free to make out whenever and wherever. The movie ends with a new family formed on top of a tragedy. I hope you enjoy the video. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button.